so high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. With us tonight, we got Rob, we got Dave, we got Dan, and obviously myself. I missed our last one. I was doing work things, and work things are not always so much fun things. So, but I do have a little bit of news for us tonight, and then obviously the elephant in the room continues to be the Beyond Visual Line of Sight NPRM. So
We're not done
I'm
with
sure.
that thing yet?
Yeah. Oh, geez. So I'll go ahead and get us started tonight. Oh, by the way, Alex is at the Commercial UAV Expo. So if you're there or if you're around, go say hi to him. I'm sure he has stickers and all kinds of fun stuff, and I'm sure he'd love to meet you. So we'll go ahead and get started. And let me get my screen presented here.
I would guess in a couple weeks from now, we'll hear from Alex and he'll give us an update on how things went.
Absolutely. He's usually really good about sharing what's going on at those. So we love having him there. And guys, your memberships help pave the way for that. So we'll go ahead and get started. So first up on the block, we've got Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announced today that he is, this was on August 28th, so a couple days ago, that he has directed Army Secretary Daniel P. Driscoll to formally establish a joint interagency task force to counter hostile unmanned aerial systems, commonly referred to as drones. He says, our job here at the Pentagon, when you think about it, is to prepare for the threats of the future and build a force to match them and defeat them and outpace them, Hegseth said on a video message released to the public. And there's no doubt that the threats we face today from hostile drones grow by the day. Noting that hostile UASs are being operated overseas and at our borders while seeking to harm U.S. warfighters, bases, and even the sovereignty of the national airspace, Hegseth said. The new task force, Joint Interagency Task Force 401, will be a unified team that will seek to bring together the best talent from multiple government agencies to counter UAS threats and restore control of the skies. It's called Counter UAS, Counter Unmanned Aerial Systems, and America will be the best at it, Hegseth said. Although the secretary did not comment on the estimated length of time before the task force will be operational, he did say the Pentagon is currently moving quickly to cut through bureaucracy and consolidate resources so as to empower it with the utmost authority to outpace our adversaries. He added that DoD is working to deliver real solutions and ensure American airspace remains secure at home, abroad, and anywhere troops are stationed. They deserve to be defended by the best. He added that the new task force will put the right tools in the hands of warfighters so they can defend the sovereignty of American airspace and send a clear message that the United States will never be outmatched. Because make no mistake, under this administration and President Trump's leadership, we're going to out-innovate and going to lead, and we will win, Hegseth concluded. So looks like we're getting an official counter UAS. I know there's been a lot of I guess the word would be experimenting with different systems over the last several years. So we'll see what comes from this, I guess. Thoughts, guys?
Not a lot of truth stated in those paragraphs is what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I would say equivalent to another cabinet secretary who said that we're going to unleash the U.S. dominance in the drone industry. I would put equal credibility in the statements from Secretary Hegseth.
I think the hard part is like we as a country continue to lag behind even just simple drone development. So if we're lagging behind in drone development, how are we expected to outclass everybody and counter drone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a hard call for me. Like, I mean, realistically, and I'll show something else. It's cool and kind of interesting at the same time. In fact, I'll bump that news article up to the next one. But where we're severely outmatched in terms of development of UAS systems
And I'm
from
sure
places like China.
basically banning, blocking, making it really difficult to buy any electronics from China, making it extremely difficult for new people to get into the hobby, making it really difficult to fly drones in the United States. That's just going to breed people who are really good at building and flying drones and
Right.
and
And
all of that
and of
stuff.
course it's the National Defense Authorization Act that has the lead DJI ban encompassed in it. So this is DoD driving a wedge into the ability to procure DJI, and then of course um, with the just as Dan said, tough to get components from here forward from China, thanks to the tariffs and of note. Remember that if we say if you hear the median tariff is now 15%, and that's tariffs of incoming imports into the United States. And last year that number was 2.5%. So 15% is the last time we had numbers like that was 1930. Note recession, and before that 1890. Note recession.
And we don't need to get into it, but also to quickly mention all of the postal carriers and shipping companies who are no longer delivering products to the United States. So you can't just say, "Oh, I want to order this one part from the UK." It's not going to be shipped to you anymore.
And interestingly, it was September 1st that the exclusion of the de minimis exclusion of tariffs went into effect. So that means that prior to September 1st of this year, if you order $800 or less of product, you were free from tariffs. That's no longer the case.
Yeah. All
Now,
right.
I would argue, like, if there was a long-term plan of giving incentives to create technology within the United States, not blocking you from using technology from other countries, that would be a whole different ballgame. And I would probably be way more in favor of that. But that's not the direction things have been going.
Right.
Yeah.
You're here.
100%. All right. So in a case of innovation, so this comes from Drone Life. This new U.S. manufactured heavy lift drone is built different. So I think we've kind of talked about Ascent Aero Systems before. They did just, and as an aside, they just did gain, I think it's on their Swift. I'm going to scroll down. Spirit got dual Blue UAS authorization. One as a component and one as a complete system for another coaxial drone that they produce. So congratulations to them. But this one is the Ascent Aerospace Spartan UAV, and apparently Alex can probably see this. It's at Commercial UAV Expo. So it's a heavyweight coaxial platform, builds on the NX30, offering rugged reliability and long flight endurance.
Looks like you could shoot that thing out of a rocket launcher or something,
I
doesn't
know,
it?
right? It's kind of cool, right? So Ascent has emerged as a leading U.S. manufacturer of drone platforms for both government and commercial markets with a focus on rugged, portable, and long-endurance aircraft. The company's coaxial designs stand apart from conventional multi-rotors. The unique cylindrical form factor makes Ascent platforms easier to transport, highly reliable, and suited for mission-critical operations in demanding environments. So the Spartan was designed as a heavyweight drone for defense, public safety, industrial, and agricultural use. It delivers improvements in endurance, range, speed, and payload capacity while retaining Ascent's modular all-weather cylindrical airframe. Key advancements include 70-plus minutes of endurance, supporting up to 25 miles of A to B range and coverage of 1,800 square miles. That's pretty cool. Payload capacity up to 15.3 pounds. So this is where I'm going to nitpick a little bit. For those who know, DJI's Flycart 30 is their heavy lift drone, and that's the drone that they are advertising is lifting construction materials up to distant mountains and stuff like that. And it's called a 30 because it's got a 30 kilogram weight capacity for payload. And if you do the translation, kilograms to pounds is 66 pounds, 66 and some change pounds, versus a payload capacity of 15.3. So maybe standard lift,
not really heavy
drone?
lift.
I'm gonna say maybe not heavy lift. So, so that's the point I'm making, right? So, congratulations to this company for. I mean, this is a cool coaxial looking UAS, but at the same time, like calling it a heavy lift when the dastardly DJI is capable of lifting 66 plus pounds. A little bit different, right? So, modular open systems architecture capable of quick connect payload integration, FAA compliant lighting systems, got to have those for night operations and real-time aircraft status monitoring, and an IP54 rated weatherproofing for reliability in rain, snow, sand, and winds over 40 miles an hour.
Oh no, not 40 miles an hour.
I
I know that. I'm
don't
sure
know
that's
what
a
the
bigger
highest-
deal for other like normal drones, but not for like FPV
not for people
drones.
who fly FPV. Like, I don't know what the harshest wind I've flown in, but I feel like it's probably been over 40 miles an hour. So just saying, and my little 5-inch can do that. So, hey. Peter Fuchs, co-founder and CEO of Ascent Aerosystems, highlighted the company's mission-driven approach. Innovation is at the core of everything we do at Ascent. We introduced Spartan. We're delivering the cutting-edge capability integrators and operators need to confidently complete mission-critical operations in virtually any environment while laying the foundation for what's next. So, a little bit interesting. Cool to see. Like, I think it looks cool. I'd love to fly one. But heavy lift, I'd question that one. So, all right. So, I don't know if we want to classify this as drones for good or what, but I thought this was interesting. So, drones are blasting AC/DC and Scarlett Johansson. They're helping biologists protect cattle from wolves.
Okay,
You're
I
gonna
know
have to explain more.
I'm generations out, but I recognize AC/DC, and I thought Scarlett Johansson was an actor.
She's an actor, yeah, actress. So for millennia, humans have tried to scare wolves away from their livestock. Most of them didn't have drones. But a team of biologists working near the California-Oregon border do, and they're using them to blast AC/DC's Thunderstruck, movie clips, and live human voices at apex predators to shoo them away from cattle in an ongoing experiment. I'm not putting up with this anymore, actor Scarlett Johansson yells in one clip from the 2019 film Marriage Stories.
So are they paying
With what?
royalties for this while it's a public performance?
I don't know. Let's see. With what? I can't talk to people, co-star Adam Driver shouts back. Gray wolves were hunted nearly to extinction throughout the U.S. West by the first half of the 20th century. Since their reintroduction in Idaho and Yellowstone National Park in the mid-1990s, they've proliferated to the point that a population in the northern Rockies has been removed from the endangered species list. There are now hundreds of wolves in Washington and Oregon, dozens more in northern California, and thousands roaming near the Great Lake. The recovering population has met increasing conflict with ranchers and increasingly creative efforts by the latter to protect livestock. They've turned to electrified fencing, wolf alarms, guard dogs, horseback patrols, trapping and relocating, and now drones. In some areas where non-lethal efforts have failed, officials routinely approve killing wolves, including last week in Washington state. Gray wolves killed some 800 domesticated animals across 10 states in 2022. Scientists with the USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection developed the techniques for hazing wolves by drone while monitoring them using thermal imaging cameras at night when predators are most active. The preliminary study released in 2002 demonstrated that adding human voices through a loudspeaker rigged into a drone can freak them out.
I'll keep that in mind next time up against a wolf. They're pretty scary. Right? They're pretty scary. I've been fly fishing in Utah and come across a wolf happily several hundred yards away, and I was not within its range of or the direction of wind to be smelled. So
Yeah.
Big animals, very scary.
Apparently, you just need to be quoting movie quotes and
I
they'll run
know.
away.
What did I know?
I don't know if Scarlett Johansson would be really thrilled with her
Yeah.
voice scaring off
Hey,
wolves. But,
a voice who would scare a wolf.
I know, right?
Okay.
They say if we could reduce these negative impacts of wolves, that's going to be more likely to lead to a situation where we have coexistence. Ranglak said. Preloaded clips include recordings of music, gunshots, fireworks, and voices. A drone pilot starts by playing 3 clips chosen at random, such as the marriage story scene or Thunderstruck, with its screams and hair-raising electric guitar legs. If those don't work, the operator can improvise by yelling through a microphone or playing a different clip that's not among the randomized presets. One favorite is a heavy metal band Five Finger Death Punch cover of Blue on Black, which might blast the lyric "You turned and ran as a wolves flee." Oh gosh. USDA drone pilots have continued cattle protection patrols this summer while researching wolf responses at ranches with higher conflict levels along the Oregon-California border. Patrols extend south to the Sierra Valley in August for the first time, according to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. It's unclear whether the wolves might become accustomed to the drones. Herders and wolf hunters in Europe have long deterred them with long lines hung with flapping cloth. The wolves can eventually learn that the flags are not a threat. Environmental advocates are optimistic about drones, though, because they allow for scaring wolves in different ways in different places. So it's funny because we go through this whole EPA thing with drones and the FAA and not disturbing the natural wildlife to utilizing them to essentially bully animals.
And be noisy. What would the NEPA people say?
I know, right? So, super interesting. I guess let's not kill the wolves. But at the same time, like
future job opportunities for people flying FPV drones around chasing wolves away from cattle.
I mean, I'm all about heavy metal and drones, so let's go.
Excellent.
I would be curious, like if you did have a smaller FPV drone and you got close to the wolves or like were aggressive towards them, what that would do.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting, right? So, drones for good? Maybe.
Yeah, sort of. It's positive. That's a positive.
Or as Morton's putting it in YouTube channel, is this a public performance considered professional venue and you're required to have a 107, or is it recreational because you're enjoying it as well?
Comment of the day.
A little bit of both.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm going with that. All right, so the city of El Paso, Texas revolutionized emergency response with a citywide drone program. And here's the fun part. Guess what branded drone they're using? DJI.
DJI?
Yeah. So El Paso has transformed its emergency response capabilities by integrating drone technology across multiple city departments, according to DJI Viewpoints. The El Paso Police Department initiated its drone program 6 years ago and has since expanded to include 22 DJI docks citywide. The city has invested quite a bit in this technology so that we could make our public safety and first responders' job much safer and also improve the safety of our community. Coming from El Paso Police Department Assistant Chief Humberto Talamontes during a press conference Tuesday afternoon.
They still need to update their default drone clip art there in their
just a little thumbnail. This expansion allows for rapid response time to rescues, crashes, or law enforcement standoffs by enabling remote drone launches from any location. Those high optics and thermal imaging, we can locate missing persons or people in danger much more efficiently, Talamontes said. It can quickly and actually capture three-dimensional modeling, set traffic accident scenes, and this is done within minutes versus it will take us an hour or more. So we can open our roads for commerce and citizens much more quickly. Regarding questions around DJI's ties with China and the fact that they are under review by the federal government, the director of aviation at the El Paso International Airport, Antonio Navarez, said they're not concerned as a drone program. Oh my gosh, it's on its own network supported by AWS GovCloud. Color me shocked.
He should be concerned.
I know. This system allows for secure data management, ensuring that all images, coordinates, and flight logs remain within the city's internal network. El Paso's collaborative approach involves police, fire, and airport teams working together, sharing infrastructure and training to maximize public safety. The city plans to extend drone access to additional departments, including parks and recreation and economic development. El Paso Police held a press conference addressing the new program on Tuesday afternoon. So,
one of the things that the officer mentioned was three-dimensional images of accident scenes. I would bet that the product he's talking about or referencing is Skybrowse, and if anyone has taken a look at this, it is very cool. It's a startup company, and what they can create is if you do a couple of passes with a video drone, notably a DJI if you want, but a video drone, it then stitches together the video automatically and creates a three-dimensional surface model that can be rapidly provided, and it's very accurate. So it can be used in court, and the use case was in support of public safety. So they can do this real time and support active shooter situations or recreate an accident scene very, very quickly, minutes. And so if you're interested in that type of thing, and the speed of processing, because it's a surface model, not a solid model, is very fast, and it's very cool. A great little company.
that's awesome. I need to experiment with that.
Yeah, Skybrowse is pretty neat stuff. It's videogrammetry versus photogrammetry, so you don't have to run the highly detailed mapping missions. The software, it parses all the video data for you, so you don't even have to have any standalone applications. It's all cloud-based processing, which is pretty cool because in comparison, like Pix4D that uses photogrammetry, it uses photos, it's much higher resolution, but you've essentially got to have a gaming laptop to run it efficiently. Because the models, because the models take so long. So,
yeah, well said.
Interesting. Cool. All right. So, real quickly, Amazon shifts drone delivery strategy to new U.S. cities. I don't believe I'm just, picking this article because, picking on Amazon delivery, but I don't think they have said what new U.S. cities, but they're definitely exiting College Station, Texas. So they exit another. They have not announced that they're shutting down here in Arizona yet. And I say yet, but
the drone that you saw delivering the Amazon package delivery, was it this aircraft?
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the Mark 30, and they are large. They are loud and
noisy. Yeah,
and that's the reason why they're exiting College Station. So, its final deliveries would take place on August 31st. So that was 3 days ago.
Who could have guessed people would complain about the noise?
And they are. Yep.
Shocked, I tell you.
So, it just real quick, it ran into opposition from residents complaining of noise from the company's launch site. The city and company were not able to agree on an alternative site for the service, so they are exiting.
So we bring up an important point on sound, and when Dan and I were participating in the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Aviation Rulemaking Committee 3 years ago, one of the big elements was sound and noise. And the number one complaint about manned airports is noise. So, the things that we've seen, like I think it was Zipline produced a wishbone asymmetric propeller. DJI, certainly from the Phantom to the Mavic, a lot quieter. And it's also, we know that it's the frequency of a lot of the drones that cause annoyance, not necessarily the magnitude or amplitude of the sound. So this is something that if we're flying and we want to annoy people less, go to a larger diameter, slow the RPMs down, and it'll get a lot. Your same drone will get a lot quieter.
And it's drone dependent too. So like my buddy has a DJI Mini, I forget what version, probably a 3 or something. And I've got the Avata and completely different noise profiles.
Yep.
The Mini is much quieter, it seems like, than my Avata. And I mean, similar, I mean, not same size, but similar size, but definitely a different pitch to the propellers. So,
Yep.
so absolutely. So, goodbye Texas for Amazon. So this will lead us into the NPRM for Beyond Visual Line of Sight. These are your favorite people, Dave. This comes from Vertical Mag, and Vertical Mag is a helicopter publication.
They have a projector on the top of that drone? It looks like there's a projector on that drone.
It sure does, yes. So I'm going to just kind of paraphrase, because it's quite a lengthy article, as you can say. But the biggest thing that they're complaining about is going to be safety concerns. So there's brief overview of industry-wide concerns.
Right of way. There it is. Boy, they hid the lead there. How could they wait so long?
I know, right? So so ADS-B out and transponders. The rule prohibits drones from operating ADS-B out or with transponders in transmit mode, effectively making drones invisible to aircraft equipped with ADS-B. This is the most likely result of concerns that the ADS-B system can't handle all the expected volume of drones and manned traffic. That said, in Part 108-180, drones must be able to detect and avoid aircraft not broadcasting ADS-B in Class B and C airspaces only. In the preamble, the rule does highlight technology drones must use to detect and avoid each other, but there's not much explanations of these systems and their requirement. Welcome to the FAA, nor how the manned industry can access it. Right of way. Drones must give right of way to manned aircraft arriving or departing from an airport or heliport, transmitting their location with ADS-B or electronic
we know what it is.
Equipment.
I'm so glad you have trouble with that word too. I can never get it out.
When taken together with Part 108-160 and Part 108-180, only manned aircraft transmitting their location will have right-of-way, and those that are not will only be detected and avoided in Class B and C, raising considerable questions about manned aircraft safety when ADS-B is not installed. Shielded areas.
Right.
Shielded
before you jump,
yeah,
this is where the helicopter group absolutely came out of their chairs. They gained the support of AOPA as well as ALPA, large airline organization, as well as Aircraft Owners Pilots Association. And their big concern was right away under 500 feet. So note, there are 16,000 helicopters in the United States versus over 2 million drones. But they carry people, and they're absolutely doing a lot of public safety support. So we talked about the next one, shielded ops, what's right of way, and effectively the helicopter organization's position is they want to yield a
nothing.
UAS should always in every situation, regardless of the altitude, distance, lateral, shielded ops, anything, they should always yield right of way. And this, to me, as I mentioned, I don't know why the FAA put this in here. It's watered down from what we recommended in the BVLOS ARC, but it just seems like red meat for the helicopter folks to go after. And what the FAA put in shielded ops is not so great for us. And we've got comments articulating improvements for that. And of course, the helicopter organizations are very opposed to shielded operations.
Yeah. So shielded areas are designated for unmanned aircraft, and when drone operators are given permission to enter them, the drones have the right of way. Shielded areas are within 50 feet of power lines and substations, railroad tracks, bridges, pipelines, and in any other area designated by the FAA administrator when permission is granted by the infrastructure owner. Right. This part does note that drones may not operate in a shielded area if manned aircraft are expected to operate in the same place, but does not stipulate how that is communicated, be it NOTAM, TFR, or another means.
So get this, you're 50 feet away from a building, you're flying below the rooftop of the building, and you think, shielded ops, I'm golden. You have to get permission from the landowner in order to fly in that area under shielded ops. So you could fly not in shielded ops there without a landowner position. So a ridiculous proposition in Part 108. And yes, that's part of the comments.
So,
Hey, Dick.
and then they go ahead, Rob.
Did you pick up on the section that said it was recommended that maybe all aircraft just have to broadcast ADS-B under 500 feet? And the FAA response was that would be costly and burdensome to outfit those aircraft. Rather than that, it's going to be costly and burdensome to the UAS segment for all of the DAA mechanisms that are going to be required that are stupid expensive.
Yes, and the FAA still is leaning on the ADS-B frequency saturation nonsense, which is just made up. So yeah.
They say it's an incredibly robust rule and brings together all the things that would be covered under multiple parts in a typical aviation into Part 108, said Josh Olds, president and CEO of the Unmanned Safety Institute. They're basically pulling things together that would be covered in Part 91, Part 141 training, and Part 135 organizational, Part 45 markings, Part 21 airworthiness, all of that, and they're building it into one rule. The regulation also outlines personnel titles required at UAS operations and their training requirements for BV loss. However, no title called out in Part 108 requires a pilot certificate. Oh my gosh.
Because the aircraft are fully autonomous, and the view is so no medical required, no pilot certificate, no pilot training, because no pilot.
Right. So the rules outline two levels of operational approvals drone operators can seek: permitted operation and operational certificate. The permitted operations are akin to Part 91 banned operations, while the reporting requirements for the operational certificate are closer to Part 135 with SMS, training, duty schedule, and more required. Maintenance procedures and aircraft airworthiness are also included. One particular departure from manned aviation stands out in the airworthiness section. UAS up to 1,310 pounds and operating under BV loss are not required to receive either type or airworthiness certificates, significantly cutting down design to market time for drone manufacturers. Instead of a type certification for a UAS, the FAA is moving toward airworthiness acceptance, said Amber Harrison, Director of Regulatory Affairs at Vertical Aviation International. Essentially, a manufacturer just has to submit a declaration of compliance saying that they use these applicable industry standards to meet and comply with parts G and H of 108. The FAA retains audit and inspection rights, but other than that, it's pretty much a manufacturer-led process. Throughout Part 108, we're seeing where the FAA is really pulling themselves out of the process. They've been doing that for years, lady.
And if we think about this, the airworthiness acceptance process is, as Josh was just describing, but there's a multi-year piece of work in order to create the standard that defines the aircraft. And so, if we think about Part 107 alone took 10 years, remote ID was 6 years. So this is going to take a while, and then once a standard is developed, then the FAA has to approve that, which usually only takes 6 months or so. And if you think of the magnitude of all of this, that's not too bad. Then we have a means of compliance. At that point, the manufacturer has the ability to manufacture a Part 108 aircraft that has to then be, they submit a declaration of compliance against that specific and individual model. So iterating and innovating is, shall we say, not encouraged with this type of airworthiness acceptance or type cert.
XJet was asking about ultralights, and so I was going to ask, was there anything in the NPRM about ultralights and right-of-way or ADS-B, or were they just ignored?
They were ignored, but they have been updated and addressed in Mosaic. So light sport aircraft is now under Mosaic, which is a completely revamped set of regulations that address LSA.
Mm-hmm. All right. They go on to say the rules prohibits drones in this weight size class from carrying ADS-B out, yet also requires them to avoid aircraft with ADS-B out, wrote James Williams of North Pole Helicopters in Valdez, Alaska. This creates a one-way visibility gap. Manned aircraft can not detect drones, while drones may only partially detect manned aircraft, as not all aircraft are required to have ADS-B out. This undermines collision avoidance. Williams went on to highlight the lack of clear protections for the right-of-way for manned aircraft, emphasizing they should always have the right-of-way using the multiple low-altitude operations conducted in Alaska and around the country. Williams isn't alone. The biggest concern we have, no way of knowing where drones are, and they will not be sending out any signal in a way most helicopter operators can detect with onboard equipment. Yet we're relying on the drone manufacturers and their operators to see and avoid manned aircraft, which is what they're already supposed to do. Still, there are hits and near misses, and now there's going to be a 1,300-pound, 25-foot wingspan drones.
So there's a big gap here as well, and so mild referenced once or twice. It's around 100 page 130 of the 767 pages in it. If you're reading a PDF of the BVLOS NPRM, they mention they describe the standard by the ASTM on UTM, unmanned traffic management. They also reference the key sites, which are a consortium of companies plus the FAA working on unmanned traffic management. One of the key sites is in Texas, another in Virginia with Virginia Tech. And the standard and these key sites relate to UAV detect and avoid and conformance monitoring. The Part 146 addresses UAV to UAV plus manned aircraft. So there's a pretty significant technological as well as operational gap that's no one seems to be talking about, but that is required in Part 146 and is not being addressed in the field testing of UTMs across the country. So
yeah,
we this year, so my estimate of 10 years before we have a in production BVLOS, it might be longer if we're going to proceed along the path of the BVLOS NPRM.
So they say, I'm not anti-drone at all. In fact, I see them as a valuable tool in the toolbox with some valuable uses. There just needs to be some kind of structure where these devices are either identifying us, or there are airways or NOTAMs, something that we can file that is going to exclude those aircraft from our working areas on any given day, rather than the other way around.
Right. The helicopter crowd loves the idea of airbound highways. So the little paths where you can fly drones, and so the rest of the air is navigable by the 16,000 helicopters, but 2 million plus drones should be restricted to highways.
Highways in the sky.
I don't know. What about just the NOTAM part? We'll just put up a NOTAM every time every drone anywhere flies, and all manned aircraft will avoid those spaces, right?
There you go.
It's your responsibility as a manned aircraft to review all the NOTAMs for 2 million drones.
Yeah.
So, best of luck. Have fun.
So we talked a couple of years ago, John Hagrains and I pushed the notion of notify and fly, and he incorporated that in the Aloft products. And so this is some of the basis of the detect and avoid, and becomes not just a three-dimensional object, but a four-dimensional, because it's a volume based on time. So, and now you have to consider what's the flight path in there. And what we're trying to calculate is all aircraft within that volume, and are we free of conflict, both now as well as a collision path based on the trajectory of all of the aircraft in that volume.
So, surprise, surprise, helicopter operators.
Good for finding it, though. I mean, they're nothing if not consistent.
Right. Cool. So Dave, I'll hand it off to you. That's all I
Oh,
got for the news.
Okay, a couple of things before I get into additional BV loss comments. Josh did mention that Alex is off at the commercial UAV Expo in Las Vegas. My thanks to folks who support us. We sent Alex from school in Fairbanks down to Las Vegas. We found a cheap flight. Alex has also been in two events, one a CDA Summit, Commercial Drone Association Summit. That was very useful to us, as well as a Department of Defense race, which was also a show and tell event. That was great for networking. Rob was able to attend, I believe it was a symposium in Houston. So a change of gears for us. I've chickened out and have not been traveling. So my thanks to Alex and Rob for making these events. And this is what your membership to us is paying for. So we can get to these events, and it is absolutely making a difference. One of the follow-ups coming out of the event was a relationship with some of the folks in the Department of Commerce who now have a much better understanding of the different segments in drones. They know what FPV is. They've gone to a couple of races. So that's a positive. So I keep looking for the silver lining in some of this. At the NPRM about BV loss is pretty negative. But my thanks to Justin Davis of Drone Camp, to Joshua Bardwell, and to John Hagrains, CEO of Aloft. I did 2 interviews and 1 webinar with those folks. And so we've gotten the word out to encourage folks. The deadline is October 6th. Our comments are up on our fpvfc.org website. As we've said, this is not a copy and paste exercise. You have to use ChatGPT to come up with something that is your own. And we do know that if you can describe a positive, if you can find one, or a negative, and then what's the impact to you? If there is a benefit of something in the rule, great, articulate that. If there is a negative, please articulate that. In addition, I've been whining and complaining about Part 146. My position is, and our position is, that it is effectively an RFQ, a request for quote, for software development. The FAA spends over 100 pages talking about things that are mostly a development process. There's almost no requirements. And then they reference 3 advisory circulars that will be issued sometime in the future, which will really provide the essence of the requirements for Part 146. I submit that that's skirting statute of rulemaking, because they will then be issuing requirements or issuing guidance on how to conform outside of public comment, just as the TSA is doing in the same document. There are one of the comments I got was, well, Messina, maybe the FAA thinks that the key site work and the ASTM, it's all done. The UTM is just going to happen because you've got these sites that are undergoing these tests around the country. So they put out this, okay, you call it an RFQ. Well, maybe that's the case, but it's going to be all done. So I dug into the ASTM standard 3581-21. It's only 49 pages, but it's extraordinarily dense. It is all about unmanned traffic management, and it goes deep, and it talks about UAV to UAV detect and avoid and conformance monitoring. And I also read up, there are 2 GitHub sites that are referenced in the variety of consortium work, one of which is the Northern Texas Airspace Sharing Implementation, known as NTAS, because we have to have acronyms. So there is virtually no reference in Part 146 to this critically important ASTM standard, virtually no recognition of how important the key site is, both the Texas as well as the Virginia one, and there are others coming up being stood up around the country. These are important tests that are going on that are, we have 15 different companies working on this. And NASA has been working on UTM, unmanned traffic management, for over 10 years and has created ConOps 2. Almost no mention of those. So after reading all of this background material, I come back to that, yeah, I still have the same points that are written up in our website on these comments, that I don't get it. What is the FAA doing? Why are they writing an RFQ when there is a wealth of information that they could have used to provide a much more refined set of requirements, and they could still do it along the way of performance requirements. One of the statements jumped out at me today, which was the ability of the Texas effort proves that industry can self-regulate. Now, that coming from the FAA, I would assert, is very bold when they are living through things like 737 MAX, as well as remote ID, where the industry is effectively self-regulating. This is not helpful. This is not a way to unleash the United States to achieve drone dominance. So please, we are working with the Drone Advisory Council. We're a founding member. And so it's Aloft, Pilot Institute, Influential Drones, DSPA, Drone Service Provider Alliance, VICMOS, as well as Air Vigilance, which is a counter UAS company. So we have a great brain trust, and we're putting together comments that we all agree should get out there and be posted as comments. Along these lines, pilot Greg Reverendue and his team have put together some fantastic videos. One, explaining what the heck the BVLOS NPRM is, and there's an associated PDF that he's now sending out that's fantastic. And at the Commercial UAV Expo, Greg is presenting the group's consolidated comments. We will refine those over the next couple of weeks. We'll get that out and make sure it's available to folks. And we would like to use that and our work on the comments to inform you all to please, go ahead and write up comments. Joshua Bardwell asked a closing question that really struck me. He said, you've said that this doesn't do much for recreational, so why should we bother? And I thought, ooh, that's a really good question. I honestly feel that it is our responsibility as citizens to comment on this stuff. I think this NPRM is junk, and we should state as such, and we should demand better. And I think this is a slippery slope for recreational. And if we let this one go, the next one will be worse. There is, I would assert, virtually nothing, even though there is a section here on recreational. This is not beneficial to recreational operators who want to fly beyond visual line of sight, but are so hamstrung by the massive amount of bureaucracy in reporting and record keeping, as well as the, you have to toss out your equipment and buy a to-be designed aircraft that has lots of electronics on it. And remember, it can handle a lightning strike and still continue to fly. So,
and a battery failure. Don't forget the battery failure too.
That's right. That's right. So we also had different topic. Dan and I met with the FAA this past week. There's an interesting situation coming up with educational institutions across the country. And this is in the advisory circular 9157-C. And so if an educational institution wants to have a FRIA and they want to fly in a zero elevation area, so it's zero grid, they have to be affiliated with a CBO. And so that's a no-brainer for us, which, you charter. We've got a document that says the educational institute can charter with us. We do ask that one person from the educational institution become a member so that we have a point of contact. And then we'll submit the application of the FRIA first to have a fixed site, and subsequent to that to be a FRIA. That will unlock the challenge that the FAA is having with a couple of educational institutions. So it was a good conversation. We're always happy to hear from the FAA, and it's the people who respond to the free applications are good folks, and they're trying to do the best they can, working in the FAA confines.
Yeah, I wonder how long this has been a problem for them. Like, did a year and a half ago, did an educational institution try to create a FRIA that was in a zero grid, and they're just now getting around to finding a solution for it?
They did imply that this problem has been around for a while, and so that they said they have more than 10 educational institutions with this. And for those of you, if you're working in an educational institution, you've been thinking about, oh, I'd like to get a FRIA here. You can submit a FRIA yourself. And we've been doing this for a couple of years. So we're happy to submit a FRIA for you.
Or even give advice on how to, review
absolutely.
an application or something.
Yeah, you want to do it yourself. Where the FAA is getting a lot of errors, let's put it, where they have to go back to the institution and say, don't think you meant this, and what's this about? Our educational institutions. I mean, once you've done something a couple hundred times, like we have, you'd hope that we're getting pretty good at it, and we are. So happy to help. We are continue to be huge supporters of any educational institution that is using drones for research, for education, STEM programs, whatever. Races, also good. And it looks like Josh has brought up a UAS facilities map, which shows the example.
And just before you get too far into that, Morton was asking, well, don't submit a field next to an airstrip. But I think the real issue is a lot of universities, colleges, schools, whatever, like their entire property is within a zero grid. And so they don't, like, if they want one on their property, they don't have a choice.
Right. And the next to an airport, as if you're going to submit a request and you're off the end of the runway, that's going to be hard. But if you're next to it, that can, usually, that can have 200 feet at least.
And I know, Dave, you were part of the process of getting those maps updated and made better. But originally, there was, like, even I was 5 miles away from the end of an airport, and I was near a zero grid, and like, there's no airplanes flying anywhere close to.
Right. We were able to chop the 1 mile squares to a half mile, which made 1 square 4 squares, and this was the benefit of having the DAC at the time. We had air traffic control management as part of the membership. We had senior airport management from Alaska, from LAX, and from DFW and Reno on that task force, and they all volunteered to redo the grids. And this is work that they just their staff did. And as if that's in addition to jobs as assigned. So we are very grateful for that whole project. It went really well.
So I just picked a rando here. This happens to be Las Vegas, but University of Nevada, Las Vegas, literally right off the runway of Las Vegas Airport, right here in a zero grid, right? So best of luck getting a fixed facility site there. I'm going to zoom back out. We'll go down to, let's see, Tucson. Gosh, it's been a while since I've been down here. Where's U of A at? Gosh.
Somewhere around here. South of downtown?
Yeah.
I should know this because I
know, right? I went there for 4 years.
Well, not to school. I used to work there.
So, but anyway, like, I don't know where it's at, frankly. I do know, actually, where ASU is. Here's ASU right here in a 100 grid. So.
I'm really impressed that this website hasn't crashed on you.
It does pretty well for me.
Yeah, it's great.
But you can see this is Sky Harbor International Airport. They have the classic bow tie.
Right.
grid.
So
but
that tells you where the ends of that runway are.
mhm. So, but it also, here's the ASU right here in that 100 grid, but very close to a 0 grid. So, yeah, good times.
Yeah. Okay. And Josh, I think that's all I had.
All right, Rob, you got anything for us this evening, sir?
Nothing too crazy, no sir.
All right, Dan, wrap us up with anything.
Nope, we've talked about everything I know this week, so I think I'm good.
Cool. So NPRM remains a disaster. That's not changing. So
Comments in before October 6th, please.
yep, October 6th is the deadline. So make sure and get those in. And as Dave said, guys, our comments are up on our website. Utilize those to poke holes and
We've got instructions and a link where you can post your comments. And as always, please make the comments polite, professional, productive.
Yep, 100%. And like Dave said, guys, if there's something good in there, call it out, right? Give them the credit they feel like they deserve. But also call out the nonsense as well. So,
and if you find something good about it, let me know, because I'll amplify it, because I'm still looking for that little pony.
Yep, 100%. So, all right, guys, with that, I will give you back the rest of your evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the comments. Love them. And we'll see you next time in another weeks. I'll see if I can find another fun article to, hopefully it's not Scarlett Johansson yelling at wolves. But
that was good. That was good.
All right, guys, have a great night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.